Hello there, commanders, and welcome back to National Cup. We are in round 3, match 1, battle 1 between China and Poland. A quick reminder of the standings. At the moment we have Russia and Ukraine tied at 6 points at first place. China and Spain tied for third place with 3 points, 1 win, 1 loss. And then Poland and France tied for 5th place at 0 points with 2 losses. So this time the teams are going to look up to move up in the standings, obviously. China trying to close the gap between themselves and the Russian and Ukrainian teams. And Poland trying to get into the top 4, as that means that they will move on to the playoff stage. But we're still only round 3, halfway through the tournament, so everything can still change. So we see the Polish team using quite a large force to go through the forest and launch an attack onto E. But it seems like China is quite prepared for that, as they have a lot of units already stacked up ready to defend E themselves. They are also heavily investing into C, and looks like this will not be contested by the Polish team at all. And the Polish team also heavily invested onto A, but it doesn't look like they're really pushing, they're just scouting first. The Chinese team managed to scout them with one of their units that is being shot by archers, but here we have main engagement over at E. Barbarian infantry is being sent over around the E point to flank, and Hannibal Spear's blob is being used to push, but it is also trying to push through other Hasdrubal Carthaginian spears. It looks like Hannibal is emerging from that fight ahead so far. It's a very powerful combo, and we just have a huge blob fight, but the Chinese team is still holding them, and they do have access to that healing zone, but that is what the Polish team is trying to deny with that barbarian infantry. They're facing Folksmen, and now they have found themselves kinda in their own, well, in both their own and the enemy scorched earth, pursuing the enemy through fire. Not really good, but Polish team's blob is slowly but surely killing and routing the Chinese teams over on E. C is going to unlock in 40 seconds, still Polish team doesn't contest that at all. And they have engaged in some skirmishes with the forces at C that they have sent over to A. They could have just tried to rush D, but they have decided against it. And now their dogs are suffering huge damages, huge losses from the archers. Let's see how it is going on E. Polish team has made its way well over onto the middle of E. So the Chinese team slowly responds by sending reinforcements from C to E. The C will unlock in 5 seconds, so after that is captured, I assume they'll send even more reinforcements. Maybe here this unit of the Polish team will try to intercept some of them. They do have watchtower as well, captured with their cavalry, and that cavalry could really be useful over here, trying to pick up some units that are trying to run back to the healing zone. Now the unit that was denying the healing zone has been called to help over to E. The Polish team is quite close to capturing. Elephant is almost dead, and they still have 4 units with relatively high health, all of them above half HP. The Polish team really needs to start finding some flanks and starting to rout them, which is what the barbarian infantry is trying to provide. But as they stop denying the healing zone, we'll see if the glaives can heal up over here. They do. Remember, this is patch 4.11, not 4.12, so the healing is 10 seconds long, and those 5 seconds here would have probably made the difference between the glaives being healed and not healed. And the Polish team is slowly running out of HP bars themselves, as the Chinese team, well, this player has just respawned as he lost all 3 of his units, so even if they try to deny healing, it wouldn't have been successful. So, Elephant is going to make its way onto E, but even the infantry is way more than enough to hold the point in the Chinese hands. And that will mean that as the attack on E fades away, the Chinese team will pull ahead in points. They're also very well over control of C. They have Fire in the Shade here, so obviously 100% missile block. But this unit is just standing here in Fortify, also facing back to the archers. Not a very good choice by the Chinese team. The Polish team also has decided to contest D, sending one unit of spears, kind of pushing in and pushing out of D, contesting and uncontesting it. But they really do need to start contesting points, because China is getting, well, right now, if they're contesting, 2.2 points per second, and if they're not contesting and pulling back, it is going to be 3.3. So China is reinforcing the defense of D with 2 more sword units. So the Polish team, as they have no reinforcements inside, will need to pull back and stop contesting it. China is now launching a counter-attack onto B after they have healed up all their forces over at E. They are giving pursuit after the Polish team, trying to prevent them from healing themselves, trying to capitalize on that momentum and maybe capture B themselves in a counter-attack. We'll see how that goes. C, still in a stalemate, both teams using just Find the Shade and just farming defense points, I guess. We'll see, maybe Poland will try to launch some kind of attack. Maybe they'll send reinforcements from A to B. Looks like they're sending the 2 dog units over there. Barbarian infantry is going to heal up. Roman infantry is going soon to follow. The elephant of the Chinese team is going to be sent to the healing zone behind B. We'll see how useful that will be. For example, it can stop this unit from healing up and bringing the other 2 units that are dead. So the Polish team needs to invest into stopping that elephant and allowing their allies to heal up. Chinese team is slowly making their way towards B. Through the forest, they do have largely heavy forces. They do have Foxmen. Oh, they found a route, barely. Now the unit has unrouted, but it's still suffering heavy casualties as it is being completely surrounded. Now the Polish barbarian infantry is trying to find and provide some relief for their allies, but that unit is going to be killed down. Can it be brought back and healed? No, that guy doesn't have a unit on top of the healing zone. But the Polish team is doing one thing well, which is holding the Chinese team away from point B. So Chinese team doesn't decrease the amount of points gained per second for the Polish team at the moment. But they have sent their archers, but they're also not protecting their archers at all. They're still camping C heavily with 6 units, but C is under no threat at all. Those units could have definitely protected those archers. At least 1 would be enough. But no, they didn't invest in the archers, and now they are going to lose quite a lot of them to that 1 very nice charge. Speaking of that though, the unit that was probably sent to defend them is just charging to B and now is stopping the Polish team from getting points. Elephant still bringing huge value. They're either great for contesting points, as we have seen in the previous match between France and Spain. Highly recommend you watch that. It was a great match. And now the elephants are being used to great effect by the Chinese team to prevent the healing for the Polish team onto point B. And the Polish team, as well as the Chinese team, are both running out of HP bars, but China still has a lot of reinforcements available to them over here at C. They're still failing to protect the archers though, so that reinforcement is not really going to come. Elephants is almost cut down, so they are kind of on a timer, and now that the elephant is finally down, the Polish team can heal up a lot of its units and push them back into B, and they should be able to defend it. Archers trying to recall, and they have cancelled the recall. They haven't been touched, so that wasn't cancelled by the attack. So kind of mistake by the enemy archers. Really nice charge. Enemy archers, sorry, they just read. But the Chinese archers, very nice charge here. But Foxmen stopping the cavalry from getting onto the archers, and Polish team is already launching a counterattack, but it's kind of all over the place as units are still going back and healing. Some units are still fighting here in the area, and some are already going on to E. But the Chinese team has a lot of units also just healed up over here, so they'll be able to hold E no problem until Polish team launches a bigger attack. But Chinese team, in the meantime, as they were losing the B point, they finally sent all those huge forces from C over to A, trying to capitalize on the fact that the Polish team has also sent reinforcements from A to B. And now they have pushed out the spears and the dogs away from the point. Let's see if the Polish spears can push their way back into A. They do, but they are very heavily damaged. Just barely 20 people alive. Less and less by the second. So the Polish team needs to find a heal, but there is also a Chinese unit preventing any healing. The archers, yeah, sure, they can provide some damage, but what of it? They cannot contest the point, they cannot pull through multiple units of infantry, and A is going to be captured by China. There's really nothing the Polish team can do about it. They could send the archers in, they finally decide to do that, but they are too late, and now they're just going to shoot. The healing zone disappears, so the spear player that will respawn in 15 seconds is not going to be able to respawn over here. If the archers bought those 15 seconds and then for the spear player to make their way over here before the point was captured, then yeah, that could have worked, but well, that didn't happen. So points for the Chinese team. They are now in control of 4 points out of 5, and the Polish team is trying to desperately rush E again. But the Chinese team has their own huge force of infantry over here, so point E is definitely not going down very quickly. Unless the Polish team could find some really effective flanks. They're sending their infantry around, 1 unit routed over here, but more and more reinforcements. Folksmen are really good at flanking themselves and preventing the any movements with hamstring. The Polish team is trying to deny the healing again, but they're also being stopped, and as there are multiple units going back and forth, the Chinese team will definitely have something to stop them at any given time. The archers have also made their way over here. One of them is rank 1, wow, such an XP game. And well, they're helping to clean up the Polish units over here. Friendly fire doesn't really matter, all they need to do is just clear them as quickly as possible, stop the point contention so the Chinese team can gain even more points per second, 4.5 right now. If E stops being contested, that it will be 6 points per second, and the Polish team is left with just only 1 point per second. Now they are trying to launch a counterattack over on A, but the problem is that the Chinese team has healed up all their units that they were contesting it with. Now they're even sending the units away over to C, even though C is under no pressure at all. Nothing even coming remotely close, but then again they probably do not know about the counterattack over to A, so they may expect the Polish team going over to B. That is a reasonable assumption to make. Dog player is now trying to get the Chinese archers, but it just runs out of steam. He already used the charge, so he cannot close the distance any further, and now he's going to get surrounded, and as he has only 2 units able to put pressure, the Fern is free to shoot, and also he has reinforcements incoming, so no problem over there. Let's see, the Polish team almost over on A. We'll start contesting, so decrease the Chinese point gain per second. There we go, 3 units of Leonidas trying to push through a Caesar and a Sula, and another unit of Caesar is incoming, and pikes, and another Sula, and another pikes, and another Sula. Yeah, the Polish team is not getting point A, definitely, unless they can send in some reinforcements themselves, but they do not have any healing or spawning zones over here, so all they have is a B. Thank you to the camera for reminding me of that, as the Barbarian player has respawned for the Polish team. And yeah, the Leonidas blob can only achieve so much. It cannot contest the pike phalanx, and as we know, this player likes to deploy pike phalanx and pull through his allies like they weren't there. He doesn't care. All he needs to achieve, and rightfully so, all he needs to achieve is push the Polish team out, and that is exactly what he achieves. At the cost of a bit of friendly fire, but so what? They can just heal, and the Polish team is no longer contesting A. Everything, all the objectives have been achieved for the Chinese team over here, and they are very well on their way to victory. Just 1,000 points left for the Chinese team to gather. So the Polish team, really the only hope they have at the moment is trying to rush everything onto E, capture it, and then try to capture the base. Otherwise, I don't really see the Polish team winning this battle. Let's see, the cavalry is putting the pressure up on the archers, but this time they do have some infantry protecting them. The cavalry is just going to run into Oxman for 0 damage, and they're going to go through. Okay, so they're going into the marshes over there, so maybe they will be able to find some recharges afterwards, but they have paid quite a hefty price of their HP bar to do so. The Polish team is sending some infantry, but it is nowhere near enough. The Barbarian infantry is trying to flank again. This infantry is going places to the beach. Well, enjoy your vacation. Okay, so the Chinese team has 5 units of infantry on to point E itself, but they have another 4 or 5 units of infantry around, plus an elephant, and you know how much time an elephant can buy. A very nice barrage into the Barbarian infantry, just absolutely wrecking it. And that means that the Polish flanking abilities will be severely decreased. But let's see if the Polish team, now that they have the units inside E largely surrounded, if they can find some flanks. Doesn't really look like it, and they are getting flanked themselves. Chinese team is simply in a numbers advantage. Polish team is sending 2 more melee units, and B, oh, they didn't leave a single unit onto B to prevent any backcapping, and the point has been flipped, so the contest on E doesn't matter at all at the moment. The Polish team is going to be cut down over here, and let's see if they can even contest B. They shouldn't be able to. Just stop them well ahead of the point and just capture with 1 unit. Shouldn't take long. Polish team has nothing remotely close. A obviously has been stopped. The Leonidas infantry cannot do anything against the Pines, so just comfortably sitting in front of point A and just literally chilling. Polish team is sending archers over to B, but they're not obviously going to achieve anything unless they have substantial infantry force helping them. And as the healing zone and the respawning zone is denied, the only point the Polish team can come from is from well behind their base. And the trip they need to take to B is quite long a trip. So the Polish team is still contesting. They may make it in time, but even then the point has already been flipped, so there's really nothing to save other than the ability to flip the point back, and the Chinese team is only less than 200 points away from victory. So let's look at the trip that the red team needs to make. It's kind of, well, maybe kind of the same, maybe kind of shorter over here, but well, they never had to do that because they did defend their point properly. So the Polish team is losing quite convincingly in this battle. We'll see if they will be able to bring it back in time. We'll see if we can get the first tie of the tournament. Also, yeah, this was marathon, so this was probably the choice of the Chinese team, as well, they faced us, SUNTZU, in the War Games tournament. It's pretty much the same team, the very same team that fights over here, and they have also chose marathon as their map of choice against us. So yeah, this was the Chinese pick. So next battle is probably to be the Polish map of choice. So we'll see if the Polish team can bring it back on the map they prefer. See you there. But until then, if you want to help us bring the war back to the West, you already know what to do. If you don't, just come and ask me. But until then, I'll see you on Arenas Battlefields, Commanders.